I'm joined with Robert Borsak, members of Shooters, Fishers and Farmers Party. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Our question from Evangelicals for Life is, on May this year, the Voluntary Assisted Dying Bill was passed in New South Wales Upper House, or Legislative Council. Why did you oppose it?
Well, there's a number of reasons. First of all, I'm a Roman Catholic. I was christened one, but I carry through my Christian beliefs from when I was a child right through, and I reflect those beliefs, especially in relation to matters such as this. Previously, we've seen a bill like this come up in the past, and me and my colleague voted against it. And also we've seen an abortion bill come up in the past, which we were defeated on as well. My right to life approach to the thing is that I believe human life is intrinsically valuable, and it shouldn't be treated just as a matter of a mere bagatelle, which is what somehow or other that situation has been developing in the Parliament.
Yeah, because it's interesting because the New South Wales government has been saying repeatedly over these past 2 years that they've been trying to save lives, and that's why that's the line that they would say to justify the things that they've done in the past 2 years. So how come they're passing a bill which effectively ends life?
Well, look, I mean, if I can give you the political answer, and the political answer is that the Berejiklian government before 2019 did a deal with the left-wing crossbench downstairs, Alex Greenwich and Piper, because they were worried that they were going to end up in minority government, and they would prefer to have their support down there than our party's support down there. And so in other words, what they're really telegraphing us and signalling to you is that they're a left-wing party that doesn't share the same values as what I share, or perhaps what you share.
Yeah, so they're compromised because of that. Yeah.
That was part of the deal, and interestingly enough, the current Premier, who's supposed to be a Christian, has honoured that deal and pushed it through. So it just tells you where this government's going and what they're all about. It's all about the politics, not about values, not about any guiding principles or anything like that.
That's a shame, and we know that you've received some backlash from the other side.
Yeah.
Tell us more about that.
Yeah, I know, I've had it before. You know, you get bombarded by aggressive, threatening, abusive emails and messages on social media and things like that. People that actually believe that they can tell me how I should vote. Our party has a genuine conscience vote approach to these things. We don't try and force. You know, we've got 2 members in the lower house and 2 members up here. It just so happens the 2 members up here voted against the bill, and our 2 members downstairs voted in favour of the bill. So abusing me, sending me emails, it doesn't make any difference to me. I've got conviction. My convictions will stay, and if they don't like it, well, don't vote for me. That's what always has been my answer.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Amendment that you proposed that was rejected required people to be given the option of free palliative care before accessing euthanasia. Now, euthanasia advocates, they claim that euthanasia is the last option, but if you reject this amendment, then is it really the option?
No, that's right. A lot of what's being said, of course, is just pap. They want this bill through. They want it unamended, especially in our place. One of the main reasons why, for example, and our 2 members in the lower house are country members, one from Orange and one from Barwon. One of the reasons why, and there's a bit of speculation around this, is that palliative care is generally not available almost anywhere in the bush. And that being the case, people have developed an attitude that says, well, what happens if I really do, you know, come to an end of life event? What am I going to do? You know, most recently our member for Orange, Phil Donato, and I'm sure he won't mind me talking about it, his father recently passed away. But from the time that he was elected in 2016, he campaigned for palliative care beds in Orange. When he was elected, there were none. Now there are 2 permanent beds and 2 emergency beds. I think his father took advantage of that in his dying days, and he didn't suffer at all, and I'm sure he didn't want to die, but he took care of the palliative care. Now, the availability of palliative care resources. Now, we're seeing all over the country, New South Wales, a lack of palliative care that goes hand in glove with a lack of proper medical care as well. So it's not hard to understand how those people develop an attitude that says, oh gee, if I want to be able to choose when I'm going to die, because they know they're not going to get looked after properly.
So people don't really have a choice.
They don't have a choice. That's exactly it. And if my amendment had been picked up, well then all of a sudden the government may actually have been forced, if you can say that, to actually provide proper palliative care.
Yes.
And that's where it falls down. They just have not done it, and they don't want to do it. It's all about money in the end of the day with these people.
Yeah, so the current state is, in the country, there's practically no palliative care available. You mentioned that's 2 beds in Orange now. Orange is a pretty big metro.
Orange is that's right. I mean, it's in the Central West, as you know. It's a very sophisticated electorate. It's got reasonably good medical care now, but palliative care, as late as 2020, basically they had no palliative care. Now they've got it.
So there's no universal access to palliative care, and so that's right. People, why aren't we having a debate about palliative care instead of euthanasia?
Well, because to be perfectly brutal about it, if people select to kill themselves, then it doesn't cost the government any money. And it's all about the money in the end of the day, especially with people like this. In this government, it's all about the budgetary effect of palliative care. It's expensive, it's difficult. You need specialists, obviously, in the area. You need specialist nurses, you need specialist doctors. They don't want to provide it. They can't even provide ordinary medical care in hospitals in regional and rural New South Wales. So we should be having a debate about palliative care, but it's easier for them to avoid it. And keep in mind, they did a political deal with the member for Sydney, probably the best serviced electorate in the whole country for these sorts of things.
Yes.
I mean, basically, it's just grubby politics.
You proposed another amendment requiring the Health Secretary to report on palliative care spending. Can you tell us a bit more about that and why you?
Well, the idea of that was to actually force the issue and have it reported on, so that we could actually clearly see what was being spent on palliative care in New South Wales. Force the Secretary of the Department to actually put it up on the website, so we could see where it was and what was being spent and who was spending it. Again, it gets back to the original one. They don't want that, because all of a sudden we introduce accountability. We don't want accountability. They just want to save money.
Yeah.
And human life, well, this is the same government that's pushing through animal rights legislation that give more rights to animals now than humans.
You say to the argument that says if you come across an animal suffering on the road, that you put out of its misery, why not do the same for humans? What would you say to that?
Well, what I would say to that is humans aren't animals. Humans are intrinsically, they've got a soul. Humans, shouldn't be treated as animals, okay? Yeah. And if I find an animal in suffering, it doesn't automatically mean I'm going to kill it. But if its injuries are so profound that it should be put out of its misery, that's exactly what I'll do. But I'm not going to do that with a human. We should do everything we possibly can to try and save human life, because we are, we're reasoning beings. We've got souls. All the things that go along with that. We are, there. The animals are there. Doesn't mean we've got to be cruel to them at all.
Yeah. Humans are more intrinsically valuable than animals.
Absolutely. I've said it in the House. I'll say it here. I'm not ashamed to say that I don't believe that a chicken should have the same rights as you or me. Okay? There's people in this place now who believe that not only should they have those rights, they should have more rights now. Yes. And there's people sitting in the government benches and in the Labor Party that bloody believe the same too. Yeah. Well, I don't believe that.
What embarrassment. It is an embarrassment. How can we fight this? How can we stop this now that it's passed both houses?
Well, look, it's law now. The only thing you can do is continue to campaign against it. Look, you shouldn't be disheartened by the fact that it's been passed and now it's law. The reality is that what Christian groups should be doing, and other groups, the Muslims I'm sure are on the same page. They don't believe in euthanasia, and Buddhists and all the others that go on, the Jewish faith, for example, should continue to campaign against it. There are good examples where, and the United States is a good one, where if you continue to fight these things, you don't accept it, they can be reversed, or they can be improved, so that people actually do get do get a say in terms of what sort of palliative care they should be getting. One of the key things should be fighting hard to make sure that palliative care is still available and more available in the bush. We're not going to stop that campaign. In the end of the day, what happens with most people, I think, is that if they see an end-of-life event coming up, they will inevitably end up in palliative care of some sort, and then they may make a decision to end their lives. Well, but palliative care will still be required. Why should we jump that stage at all? Just because you live in, I don't know, Gundawindi, or you live in, Burke or some place like that, why shouldn't you get the same care, palliative care, nursing care, doctor care, that people get in Sydney? Why shouldn't you? The answer is you shouldn't. But these people here don't care. National Party's one of the primary problems. Virtually all the National Party, I think, actually voted in favour of the bill. Right. These people aren't conservatives. These people aren't Christians. They're just, I don't know, just money-serving kowtows to a left-wing liberal agenda.
Yeah. The Nationals, which have the constituents most affected by these laws.
Absolutely
which have
right.
No palliative care. They're the primary supporters of this bill.
They were one of the primary supporters of the bill. That's exactly right.
Yeah.
And these people have been in power for over 11 years now. And unless our party were bringing these things to the political table and arguing about it, you'd never hear a single thing about it. And there are lots of issues that we've done the same with in the last 7 or 8 years, certainly the last 10 years. But this is just the latest of one of these major bills. I've had people abuse me and say, oh, it's my choice. Well, of course it's your choice. I'm not taking your choice away from you, but what you really should be looking for is the opportunity to have some relief and palliative care. And because people in the bush don't get relief, because guess what, it's not there, well then of course they're going to choose a quick, sudden death.
Yeah.
I want to go, thank you very much.
Yeah. They don't have a choice.
They don't have a choice. Yeah. Again, if you look at Philip's case, his father, as far as I understand, passed away in a loving, caring environment with his family in Orange. If there was no palliative care there, he may have well ended up in Sydney somewhere, or I just don't know. But anyway, that's the way things go. So it's not hard to understand why people's attitude has hardened in the bush, because they just don't have any choice.
Thank you very much for listening to me.
Pleasure.